People who have been around the channel for a little while know that I love my Zombie World deck. I absolutely love to play zombies, one of my favourite decks to play, and we got some support in Supreme Darkness for Zombie World, so we're going to be checking that out today with a Zombie World build which relies upon or uses Dark Necromancer, which was one of the new support cards that arrived in Supreme Darkness. Now, Dark Necromancer allows for more consistency with a ritual-based deck, so that is what we're going to be looking at today. That you can do builds without Dark Necromancer involved with it and go for more of a pure build, but I've gone for the ritual-based build for this particular one. So if that sounds something that you're interested in, please do stick around and subscribe down below. It'd be very much appreciated if you did. We're trying to hit 500 subscribers by May 24th when this channel is 1 year old. So yeah, really be thankful if you could get us to that. But with that, let's check out what we've got cooked up in this 42 card Zombie World deck. Okay, let's see what Zombie World is cooking up nowadays with the new support from Supreme Darkness. I'm very glad that we got new support in Supreme Darkness. I would like to see a little bit more support in the future, particularly along the ritual-based strategies, now that we've got a reliable way of getting to ritual-based strategies. But we are going to be starting off with a single copy of our boss monster, Doom King Balladrock. So during the standby phase, if a face-up card is in a field zone and this card is in your graveyard, you can special summon this card in defense position, and you can only use this effect of Doom King Balladrock once per turn. Once per chain, when a zombie monster except for Balladrock activates its effect, except during the damage step. Quick effect, you can apply one of these effects, but you cannot apply that same effect of Balladrock again this turn. You can negate that effect, or you can banish one monster from your field or graveyard, which is incredibly powerful effect. You could run two of Balladrock just in case one of them gets banished, but one of them is pretty much all you need because he is going to come back all of the time. Next up, we are playing 3 copies of Unizombie. You can target one face-up monster on the field, discard 1 card, and if you do, increase that target's level by 1. You can target one face-up monster on the field. Monsters you control cannot attack for the rest of this turn except for zombie-type monsters. Also, send 1 zombie-type monster from your deck to your graveyard, and if you do, increase that target's level by 1. You can only use each effect of Unizombie once per turn. Fantastic card for being able to get what you need into graveyards, either from the deck or from your hand in order to use their graveyard effects. Plus, level modulating in this deck is really handy. Next up, we are playing 2 copies of Necroworld Banshee. Zombie World in the field zone cannot be destroyed by card effects. Also, neither player can target it with card effects. Quick effect, you can banish this card from your field or graveyard to activate 1 Zombie World directly from your hand or deck. You can only use this effect of Necroworld Banshee once per turn. Instant access to Zombie World is really good, particularly now that we've got 2 field spells in the deck. So instant access to Zombie World is really useful. Next up, we are playing a single copy of Glow Up Bloom. So if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can banish this card from your graveyard and add 1 level 5 or higher zombie monster from your deck to your hand, or if Zombie World is in a field zone, you can special summon it from your deck instead. Also, in either case, you cannot special summon monsters for the rest of this turn except for zombie monsters. You can only use this effect of Glow Up Bloom once per turn. Again, instant access to a Doom King Balladrock or one of your other level 5 or higher zombies is really strong. Just if it gets sent to the graveyard in any way, whether that's from the deck or from the field or from your hand, it doesn't matter. So you can send it using Unizombie's effect or from hand or deck, or you can foolish it or whatever you want to do. Next up, we are playing 2 copies of Shiranui Solitaire. You contribute 1 zombie monster to special summon 1 zombie tuner with 0 defense from your deck. If this card is banished, you can target one of your banished Shiranui monsters, except for Shiranui Solitaire, or up to 2 instead if Shiranui Style Synthesis is on the field. Special summon them, and you can only use each effect of Shiranui Solitaire once per turn. We're using this mainly for its first effect, just being able to grab a tuner with 0 defense from the deck and special summon it. That includes Unizombie, it includes Glow Up Bloom, so there's plenty of access to other plays. Next up, we are playing 3 copies of Mizuki. Very simple one, this one. You can banish this card from your graveyard, target 1 zombie monster in your graveyard, and special summon that target. An easy monster reborn, and it is not once per turn either, so a really strong effect. Next up, we are playing a single copy of Mizuki's big brother is Gozuki. During your main phase, you can send one zombie monster from your deck to the graveyard. If this card is sent to the graveyard, you can banish one zombie monster from your graveyard, except for Gozuki, and special summon one zombie monster from your hand. You can only use each effect of Gozuki once per turn. There's plenty of stuff that is worth banishing from the graveyard with Gozuki in order to extend your plays. So it's a really useful card to get in the graveyard. Plus, just being able to foolish it every turn is really useful. Next up, we have got a single copy of Mad Mauler. This card's name becomes Plague Spreader Zombie whilst on the field or in the graveyard. If this card is in your graveyard, you can target one level 6 or higher monster that you control, reduce its level by 2, and if you do, special summon this card. Also, the player who special summoned it cannot special summon monsters except zombie monsters whilst this card is face up in a monster zone. You can only use this effect of Mad Mauler once per turn. A brilliant extender for going in for synchro plays and just level modulating things that you want. You can level modulate your Doom King Belladrop down to level 6 in order to then use Mad Mauler and synchro into a level 8. Or you can change any of your other sort of high level monsters into being able to synchro off using Mad Mauler. Including this card, we've got a single copy of Changshi the Spirit Owl. During your main phase, you can send one zombie monster from your hand or deck to the graveyard. If this card is banished, you can banish one zombie monster in your graveyard, special summon this card, but place it on the bottom of the deck when it leaves the field. You can only use each effect of Changshi the Spirit Owl once per turn. Really good target for being able to banish with your Gozuki. So you can banish this in order to then special summon it, because you'll also have the Gozuki in the graveyard, so you can banish the Gozuki for the Changshi cost. So yeah, really useful card for extending your plays. Next up, we've got a single copy of Jack O'Bolan. You can discard one zombie monster to special summon this card from your hand. During your opponent's main phase, quick effect, you can target one zombie monster in either graveyard, special summon that monster, but banish it when it leaves the field, then banish this face-up card until the end phase. You can only use each effect Jack O'Bolan once per turn. Another really great extender. And just being able to summon things from like the opponent's graveyard to interrupt their plays a little bit and stuff like that is really useful if you've got Zombie World on the field. Next up, we've got a single copy of Al Ghul Mazera. If a zombie monster you control would be destroyed by a battle or card effect, you can banish this card from your hand or graveyard instead. If this card is banished from the hand or graveyard, you can special summon this card in defense position, and then you can reduce its level by 1. You can only use each effect of Al Ghul Mazera once per turn. Again, another really great extender, and just being able to easily protect your cards, and it summons itself back as a level 7 or a level 8, so you can level modulate a little bit. Plus, it's got 2800 attack, so it's nothing to sniff at. All right, moving now into our new supports that we got in Supreme Darkness. We are playing 2 copies of Volcarion, the Rotting Phoenix. If you control a zombie monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. During your main phase, you can return this card from the hand to the field. Then you can special summon one zombie monster from your hand. You can only use each effect of Volcarion, the Rotting Phoenix, once per turn. Another great extender, and just being able to summon out whatever zombie monster that you want due to its effect is really powerful. Next up, we are playing 3 copies of Dark Necromancer. So if this card is normal or special summoned, you can send one fiend or zombie ritual monster from your hand or deck to the graveyard. Then you can add one ritual spell from your deck to your hand. If this card is banished, you can target one of your banished level 4 or lower fiend or zombie monsters and special summon it. You can only use each of the effect of Dark Necromancer once per turn. So again, another really strong effect from the banishment, plus getting that search for your rituals is really good. Speaking of rituals, we are playing a very small Vendread engine in here. We are playing 2 copies of Scar of the Vendread. So if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can add one Vendread spell or trap from your deck to the hand. If a monster on the field is tributed whilst this card is in your graveyard, you can banish one other zombie monster from your graveyard to special summon this card. And if you do, whilst it is face up in the monster zone, you cannot special summon monsters except for Vendread monsters. You can only use each effect of Scar of the Vendread once per turn. So Scar of the Vendread is really good for being able to grab your Vendread spells and just be able to extend using the Scar of the Vendread card. And then we have got 2 copies of Vendread Scavenger. You can ritual summon this card with any Vendread ritual spell. During the main phase quick effect, you can tribute 1 other zombie monster. This card gains attack equal to the tributed monster's original attack until the end of this turn. If you control Revendread Slayer, this card is in your graveyard, you can special summon this card, but banish it when it leaves the field. You can only use each effect of Vendread Scavenger once per turn. It is not uncommon when playing this deck. I was able to summon out multiple copies of Vendread Scavenger, and then you can use it for being able to go into like a zombie vampire or something like that from there. So yeah, it was not uncommon to get multiple copies of Vendread Scavenger on the field using this build. And finally, finishing off the monsters, we are playing 3 copies of Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. All right, that is it for all of the monsters. Let us move over now into the spells. We're not playing any traps in this build. We are just playing spells. So, we are starting out the spells with 2 copies of Zombie World. Zombie World is very simple. All monsters on the field and in the graveyards become zombie monsters. Neither player can tribute summon monsters except for zombie monsters. Nice little floodgate there. It also just interrupts the opponent if they need to have like dragons in the graveyard or something like that. If something says you can summon a dragon from the graveyard, no, they can't. Next up, we are playing again new support from SUDA. We are playing Delta of Invitation. 2 copies. Well, when this card is activated, you can send 1 level 5 or higher zombie monster from your deck to the graveyard. You can only use each of the following effects of Delta of Invitation once per turn. If a zombie monster is on the field, you can special summon 1 Delta token, which is a zombie dark level 5 attack and defense of 0. If a monster is added from the graveyard to the hand whilst this card is in your graveyard, you can add this card to your hand. You can only activate 1 Delta of Invitation per turn. So yeah, being able to get that token on the field is really useful. A level 5 token can go in for multiple different things depending on what you've modulated your levels to. So it's a really strong card to have in the build. Next up, we are playing 3 copies of Curse of the Ancient Turtle, another new one from SUDA. You can banish 1 zombie monster from your hand or graveyard. Send 1 zombie monster from your deck to the graveyard. When your zombie monster is destroyed by a battle, you can banish this card from your graveyard. Special summon 1 zombie monster with 2,000 or less defense from your deck. You can only use each effect of Curse of the Ancient Turtle once per turn. Another really strong extender for the deck. Fantastic card to have in there. Next up, we are playing 2 copies of Ravenous Vendread. So this is our ritual spell for our Vendread summon. Special summon 1 Vendread monster from your hand, deck, or graveyard in face-down defense position, except for Vendread Scavenger, then apply the following effect. Ritual summon any Vendread ritual monster from your hand or graveyard by tributing monsters you control, including the monster special summoned by this card, whose total levels equal to or exceed the level of the ritual monster. You can only activate 1 Ravenous Vendread per turn. So Ravenous Vendread instantly gets you a level 6 for the summon of your Vendread Scavenger, which is a really powerful way of just ritual summoning very easily. Finishing off the spells, we are playing a single copy of Foolish Burial to send 1 monster from your deck to the graveyard, and then 3 copies of Super Polymerization to be able to use Zombie World to its fullest. All right, that is everything for our spells and for the main deck. Let us move in to the extra deck. Starting with those Super Poly targets, we are starting with a single copy of Dragon Necro Nether Soul Dragon. This requires 2 zombie monsters, so using Super Poly, you can use your opponents because of Zombie World. Must first be fusion summoned. Monsters cannot be destroyed by a battle with this card. At the end of the damage step, if this card battled a monster, change that monster's attack to 0. Also, if that monster is still face up on the field, special summon 1 Dark Soul token, which is a zombie dark with level and attack of unknown and defense 0, with the same level and attack as the original level and attack of that monster. You can only control 1 Nether Soul Dragon. So yeah, really powerful card this. Just being able to go into a go into this from any board essentially with Super Poly. As long as you've got Zombie World on the field, as soon as the opponent gets 2 monsters out, you can summon out Nether Soul Dragon. But we also have Garura, Wings of Resonant Life, just in case we don't get that Zombie World out. So 2 monsters of the same type and attribute but different names. We all know Garura is really useful Super Poly target. Next up, we are playing a single copy of Immortal Dragon. Requires 1 tuner and 1 non-tuner monster. During your main phase, you can send 1 zombie monster from your deck to the graveyard, and if you do, this card's level becomes the difference in the original levels of that monster and this card, which really helps for being able to modulate and go in for more synchro plays, as this is a tuner. When your zombie monster is destroyed by battle whilst this card is in your graveyard, you can special summon this card but banish it when it leaves the field. You can only use each effect of Immortal Dragon once per turn. Next up, we are playing another level 6, which is Doom Kaiser Dragon. So this requires you to use the Mad Mauler, which becomes Plague Spreader Zombie, plus 1 non-tuner zombie monster. When this card is special summoned, you can target 1 zombie monster in your opponent's graveyard, special summon that target to your field in attack position, but destroy it when this card leaves the field. Again, another one to just be able to yoink the opponent's monster. Really useful in the build. Next up, we are playing a single copy of Red Eyes Zombie Necro Dragon. Requires 1 tuner and 1 non-tuner monsters. Gains 100 attack and defense for each zombie monster on the field and in the graveyards. When another zombie monster is destroyed by a battle, you can special summon 1 zombie monster from either graveyard to your field. You can only use this effect of Red Eyes Zombie Necro Dragon once per turn. Red Eyes Zombie Necro Dragon can potentially get very big in this deck, so I really like that card. Next up, we are playing a single copy of Skeletal Dragon Felgrand. So if this card is special summoned, you can target 1 monster your opponent controls or in their graveyard, banish it. If a monster is special summoned from either graveyard whilst this monster is on the field, except during the damage step, you can target 1 other face-up monster on the field, negate its effects until the end of the turn. You can only use each effect of Skeletal Dragon Felgrand once per turn. Really useful couple of effects with that one. Next up, we are playing a single copy of Red Eyes Zombie Dragon Lord. During your opponent's turn, quick effect, you can target 1 zombie monster in your graveyard, except for Red Eyes Zombie Dragon Lord, and special summon it. If this card is in your graveyard, you can banish 1 zombie monster you control, special summon this card. You can only use each effect of Red Eyes Zombie Dragon Lord once per turn. Again, a fantastic extender for you to be able to bring back something like a Doom King Belladrock if it's not managed to special summon itself during a standby phase or it's just been removed. You can bring it back to your side of the field. Next up, we have got a single copy of Shiranui Sun Saga. So if this card is special summoned, you can return any number of your zombie synchro monsters that are banished or in your graveyard to the extra deck. Then you can destroy cards your opponent controls equal to the number of cards returned. If a zombie monster you control would be destroyed by a battle or card effect, you can banish 1 Shiranui monster from your graveyard instead. You can only special summon that Shiranui Sun Saga once per turn. All right, moving into the single Xyz card that we have got in the deck, we have got a single copy of the Zombie Vampire. Like I say, it's quite easy to get level 8s on the field with the Vendread cards, with your Doom King Belladrock, with your synchro plays. So Zombie Vampire is fairly easy to summon in the deck. If you use a monster with a level that is owned by your opponent for the Xyz summon of this card, treat it as level 8. So if you do manage to steal any of your opponent's cards, you can just use that instead. Neither player can target this card with effects of special summoned monsters except those special summoned from the graveyard. You can detach 1 material from this card. Each player sends the top 4 cards of their deck to the graveyard. Then if any monsters were sent to either graveyard by this effect, you can special summon 1 of those monsters to your field, and you can only use this effect once per turn. I love the Zombie Vampire. I think it's a really chaotic card when it gets summoned out to the field. All right, moving on now to the Link monsters. We have got a single copy of Relinquished Anima, just in case we need to get our Glow Up Bloom off the field easily. We have got a single copy of Vampire Sucker. So, 2 zombie monsters. If you would tribute monsters for a tribute summon, you can tribute a zombie monster your opponent controls, even though you do not control them. You can only use each of the following effects of Vampire Sucker once per turn.
You can target one monster to your opponent's graveyard, special summon it to your opponent's field in defense position, but it becomes a zombie monster. And if a zombie monster is special summoned from either graveyard, draw a card. The amount of times that you're special summoning something from the graveyard, you can just get a draw one is really, it happens a lot in this deck. So you're going to be able to draw one on Vampire Sucker quite a lot. Next up, we're playing a single copy of Flying Mary, the Wandering Ghost Ship. Requires 2 zombie monsters. You can target one of your level 5 or higher zombie monsters that is banished or in your graveyard. Place this card in your spell and trap zone as a face-up continuous spell, and if you do, special summon that monster. Whilst this card is a continuous spell, you can target one level 5 or higher zombie monster that you control. Destroy one monster your opponent controls with attack less than or equal to that monster. You can only use each effect of Flying Mary, the Wandering Ghost Ship, once per turn. Again, another really strong card in the deck, especially if something like your Doom King gets banished. You can then use your Flying Mary in order to be able to bring it back, so it's really strong. Next up, we are playing a single copy of Avendread Savior. 2 zombie monsters required. If this card's name becomes a Revendread Slayer whilst on the field, which links in well with your ritual monster, you can only use each of the following effects of Avendread Savior once per turn. You can target one Vendread card in your graveyard, add it to your hand. And during the damage calculation, if this card battles an opponent's monster, quick effect, you can send one zombie monster from your deck to the graveyard. That opponent's monster loses attack equal to the level of that monster sent to the graveyard times 200 until the end of this turn. So you can send whatever you want from your deck to the graveyard with Avendread Savior is really useful. So just being able to do that is great. Next up, we've got our single copy of SP Little Knight, and finishing off, we have got a single copy of Vampire Fascinator. If this card is link summoned, you can target one monster in your opponent's graveyard, special summon it to your field in defense position. Also, you cannot special summon monsters for the rest of this turn except for zombie monsters. You contribute one vampire monster, then target one monster your opponent controls. Take control of it until the end phase. You can only use each effect of Vampire Fascinator once per turn. So that is it for the build for today, guys. I hope you have enjoyed this. This is, I really enjoy playing Zombie World, and this is what I've cooked up from the new support. Let me know in the comments down below what you think of it. Please be kind down in the comments. We're trying to build a nice community around here and keep any insults to yourselves. Thank you very much for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.